An Ontario judge is granting an injunction to keep several supervised consumption sites open for 30 days. This while he considers a charter challenge of a new provincial law. Now, that law bans the sites from operating within 200 meters of schools or daycares. As JP Galliardo reports, while harm reduction advocates are treating the injunction as a win, they also warn if closures do go ahead, it could lead to the deaths of many.
10 safe consumption sites like this one are staying open across the province for the next 30 days. And that has Bill Sinclair relieved.
I'm glad that the court took seriously our concerns.
He and his group took the province to court, which ultimately granted the injunction.
This gives us time for the court to seriously render a judgment, and then for us to take those actions that will happen afterwards. We are definitely going to take advantage of the injunction to stay open. I know not all the sites can do that.
Ontario was set to close safe consumption sites within 200 meters of a school or daycare. The province passed legislation in 2023 after a mother was shot and killed by a stray bullet near a site in Leslieville, prompting safety concerns, even today.
I don't think they should be near schools or in areas where there's sort of sensitive neighbours. I think they've got to be careful around the locations.
A statement by the Ministry of Health after the injunction was granted confirmed the transition of 9 drug injection sites to homelessness, addiction, and recovery treatment hubs will proceed as planned on April 1st. That includes the South Riverdale Community Health Centre in Leslieville and the Somerset West Community Health Centre in Ottawa, meaning the province will provide funding, but they cannot offer drug injection services. These harm reduction advocates disagree with the approach.
It is treating the wrong problem. They're focusing on addiction, and this is not what the issue is. It is the toxic drug crisis. And eliminating that step means that there's going to be a major gap between people who are using our services and then suddenly treatment.
The supervised consumption sites are known to save lives, and thousands of overdoses have been reversed at these sites. So it concerns me because people are going to continue to use. They'll just use in places where they don't necessarily have access to naloxone or to trained individuals who can resuscitate them.
Still, advocates are hopeful that the injunction ruling will lead to a successful charter challenge, keeping the sites open.
Hopefully, the judge will err on our side and rule in our favor, understanding that what we see is that the closure of the sites will actually kill people. It will end lives, and that their remaining open will actually save lives.
With the exception of the sites transitioning into heart hubs, supervised consumption sites will have 30 days before being shut down completely. JP Galliardo, CBC News, Toronto.
And we are tracking an ice storm tonight as it moves its way throughout the province. Earlier today, freezing rain hit parts of southern Ontario, and it is expected to hit Toronto this evening as well as into Sunday. Now, our Nama Weingarten reports it has left thousands of people without power.
It's like a winter wonderland at the end of March. From Warshago to Peterborough to Kingston, not much of Ontario is spared from the freezing rain we're seeing this weekend, with the buildup of ice leading to some dangerous results, even landing some, like this guy's neighbor, in the hospital.
I could hear my neighbor here scraping his windshield, and all of a sudden a big snap. And massive branch came out of his tree. He was okay, but he got hit in the head.
It's early Saturday afternoon, and we made our way to Peterborough, where just about everything is coated with ice.
It's better than snow, for sure. I don't like the winter anymore.
It's just a little bit of rain. That's all it is.
I'm trying to stay home. My wife's in a wheelchair, and we went out today, and she had it.
I went out last night to the junction. The power went out like twice there.
My mom's hasn't had power most of the day, all night. She got it back for a little bit, then I left, and then it was off until about 1:30 this afternoon.
Hydro One says more than 85,000 customers saw their power go off as of late Saturday afternoon, especially in central and eastern Ontario.
So it's not just the freezing rain factor, it's the accumulation of it. So imagine that additional weight coming on branches sitting there. It is forcing them to come down and break, and they're coming down on our equipment and power lines.
And depending on where you are, it could take more than 24 hours to get your power back.
If you think about parts of central Ontario, there are many customers who are referred to as water access only, which means we either need to fly our crews in with a helicopter, or use boats to reach them. And right now, weather conditions are ongoing. So until it's safe to do so, those customers will remain without power.
That's what some are dealing with at home. On the road, the OPP said they responded to over 100 collisions across the province. Not a big change from when roads are clear, but the storm isn't in the rearview mirror just yet.
Hopefully they stay home tonight as that rain continues, and here, particularly down in the GTA, if we get down below zero, we certainly could see a lot more of that icing condition out there.
The freezing rain is expected to ease on Sunday in what many hope is the last blast of winter. Nama Weingarten, CBC News, Peterborough.
And Anwar Knight joins us now with your first look at the weather forecast. Anwar, so much attention being focused on this ice storm. What do we need to know?
Well, I'm sure April can't come soon enough, Natalie. At last check, some 85,000 customers without power. You can see the area that's most affected, and that's the band where we're seeing this freezing rain. Starting now to punch into the GTA. At Pearson, we're starting to see some freezing rain. Current value 0, so that's the key. We're hovering around the freezing mark, colder to the north and east, but mild to the southwest, still 16 degrees in Windsor with rain that continues to fall. As we push through into the overnight, still hovering at the freezing mark. We'll see 12 in Windsor, -3 in Ottawa. So this is where that ice will continue. And then as we get into the morning, we're warming up to 2 degrees. So that means probably mid-breakfast in Toronto, it'll start to change back over to rain. But it's important to note, though, this is round 1. We have round 2 that's going to move in. And as we break down some of the analysis here, some of the accretion in these areas, it's still going to be problematic. This will impact some communities, not only for days, but maybe until the end of the week. We'll have much more coming up with this storm system coming up here in CBC. But Natalie, now we'll send it back to you.
Thanks so much, Anwar. Well, it's day 7 of the first full weekend on the federal campaign trail, election campaign trail, that is. And today, Mark Carney opened his campaign office a week after announcing he was running in the Ottawa area riding of Napanee. Of Nepean, pardon me. Different riding right there. It was all a chance to rally support there and again casting this election as a watershed. Ashley Burke reports.
It's critical in redefining our economy on our own terms.
Carney is the only leader running who doesn't have a seat in the House of Commons and has never held public office before. One of his local organizers says that's one of the questions people are asking when they knock on doors.
He doesn't have that much of a political background. He was more an economist, but I think that's what we need right now. That's what Canada needs right now.
This battleground borders where Carney's main opponent, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, is running. One of Carney's longtime friends joined supporters here to help the campaign.
Best person I can think of at the right time for a really tough job.
This event here caps off Carney's first week of his campaign, where he toured Atlantic Canada, Southern Ontario, and Quebec, and paused his campaign twice on the road to deal with Donald Trump's trade war. He's also faced questions about his time in the private sector and why he didn't agree to TVA's French language debate. Carney's campaign will pick back up tomorrow for week 2 of the short 5-week race. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre announced 2 new tax policies, but that was overshadowed as sources within the Conservative Party told CBC News that there is internal dissension, with many believing Poilievre is not addressing the Trump issue adequately. Alexander Silberman has those details.
Our colleagues here in the Parliamentary Bureau are reporting that veteran Conservative strategists, both inside and outside of the party, believe it needs a hard reset at this point in the campaign. More than half a dozen sources told CBC News the campaign is dysfunctional and highly disorganized, with one going as far to describe it as a civil war within the Conservative Party. CBC News is reporting a big issue within the party right now, those internal sources are saying, is whether or not Poilievre will change and pivot his campaign to address the Trump issue. Many of those people who spoke with our colleagues are pointing the finger at Pierre Poilievre's chief of staff, Jenny Byrne, saying a concern for them is too much centralized power. They're saying that Byrne and Poilievre are not inclined to listen to outside advice, consider changing the approach, because this is a short campaign. So the window is tight to try and convince Canadians to change their support.
Meanwhile, the top announcement of the day for Jagmeet Singh, capping the cost of groceries. David Thurton is following the NDP campaign.
Jagmeet Singh is back in the nation's capital. The theme of the day for the NDP leader, food prices, especially with Donald Trump in the White House.
One of the things that's on people's minds is the fact that food is already so expensive. Will these trade wars and these tariffs mean that my food prices are going to go up even higher?
Singh was at a food bank today. He spoke about measures that would lower the cost of grocery bills. New Democrats committed to introduce a mandatory code of conduct for grocery giants, along with capping grocery staples.
To stop them from ripping you off. We want to fight back and defend Canadians.
That cap, the NDP says, would apply to essential food items like pasta, frozen vegetables, and infant formula. Food prices are exceptionally high in the territories, and so the NDP says they will reform Nutrition North. Throughout this campaign, Singh said he was running to be prime minister, but he acknowledged today that that might not be the outcome. He also said that as long as he is the NDP leader, the party would never support a Pierre Poilievre government. David Thurton, CBC News, Ottawa.
And Bloc Québécois leader Yves-François Blanchet is in Sherbrooke, Quebec today. That riding currently held by the Liberal Party, but the Bloc officially unveiled its platform today, focusing on U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs, which directly impact Quebec's aluminum and the aerospace industry. As the party does not aim to form government, its platform outlines what it would do to push Ottawa. Well, Vancouver is at the center of the Canadian music scene this weekend. The Juno Awards are honoring the country's best performers, and musician Michael Bublé is hosting as well. Our Eli Glasner is in Vancouver now with the latest. Eli, tell us about where you are today and what it's been like.
So we are at the gorgeous Vancouver Harbor. I had to give you a little taste of the view because it took our breath away. But just before we arrived, the convention center is behind me. So that is where the first awards night gala is going to take place. So Saturday night is kind of the run up to the big awards on Sunday. But earlier this morning, we were at an event put on by Warner Canada for 91 Records. This is a new label they started a year ago to embrace South Asian music. And that has become one of the big stories at the Juno Awards this year, is this explosion in South Asian music, in the Punjabi music scene, which is happening in BC, in Surrey, in parts of Vancouver. And I want to play you a little something from Janita Gandhi. Now, listen to this. She came from Mumbai. She stopped briefly in Toronto to give some love to her parents. She just arrived in Vancouver. She's going to be performing at the awards show. I'm going to let you listen to her sing, and then she's going to talk about how this community is creating ripple effects around the world.
I've been looking for somebody. I think I'm ready for a love like that. Ooh, I wanna be wanted, wholehearted. A love like that. Gharnari, gavari, chahe jo kahe.
I think that Punjabi music is almost synonymous with Canada these days. It's insane. I think it's amazing. Definitely people around the world are taking note, including in Mumbai and across the country of India. So we're all proud. We're all proud that our music is kind of being played everywhere. Yeah.
Just the way she switches from English into the Punjabi, that vibrato takes your breath away, and she's going to be performing as part of the show on Sunday.
And Eli, let's talk about the show tomorrow. What should we be watching for?
Well, let's stick with it. Toronto. Akila, beautiful Juno story. A couple years ago, she won an award for R&B. Now she is back. She just dropped an album yesterday. We got some footage of her rehearsing. She's going to be singing her big viral smash, Bloom. It blew up on TikTok, so certainly looking forward to that. But I also have to talk about Snotty Nose Rez Kids, amazing Indigenous hip-hop group. And we had a chance to chat with them, and they said they're really bringing the energy come Sunday. Take a look.
It's going to be definitely one of our better performances. Yeah. We're all just bringing our absolute best to the table, as always. And yeah, we can't wait for everybody to see it.
It's definitely going to be red. You know, we're gonna. There's a lot of red on the table, but for us, it's like we kind of elevated our game as far as live performance goes, and That's crazy to say because as Sunny Nose Res kids, like live performances are bread and butter, you know?
Yeah.
So for us, it's just us elevating and just trying to like get to the next stage.
And the thing is, like, they're not a low-energy group, Natalie, so I don't know what else they're going to do, but I'm very excited, very interested. Now, there's going to be, as I said, a lot of amazing South Asian artists performing. Chani Nathan, I saw him earlier this morning. He's a little nervous because the crowd at the Junos and the Rogers Arena, a little kind of a different. I think he has to kind of win people over, but I was watching them rehearsing. They're going to be doing some amazing dance moves. And then there's the rest of the show. I mean, maybe you like country. Josh Ross, he is one of the most nominated artists this year, 5 nominations. He's performing. And then Sum 41, the last time we will see Sum 41 be together as a band. The leader, Jacob, says he's done. He wants to try other things, open new doors. And so they're going to get together one last time. I'm sure you remember those amazing songs from the 90s. And they're going to go out with one big show at the Junos. Cannot wait to see what that looks like.
Oh, Eli, that brings me back to high school. I tell you, thank you so much.
See?
You too, I'm sure.
You're welcome.
Welcome back. As more Canadians are looking to buy locally, makers in the Distillery District are touting their Canadian-owned status. Talia Ricci visited the neighborhood in Toronto to learn more.
In Toronto's Distillery District, supporting local is weaved into its history.
I've been here since 2007, and what we always say is like everything's handmade here. I am the designer, so it's very hands-on, it's very 100% Canadian. I try to source out Canadian products, Canadian yarns when I can. People have really, everyone's so patriotic now, it's really exciting to see people come in, and I hope people come from all over Canada.
The Distillery District wants to tap into this patriotic era and tout that more than 90% of the shops and retailers are Canadian-owned, and around 30% of products are made right on site.
And it's just a great feeling, knowing that came from my head to my hands, and then I see somebody wearing it.
I am a jewelry designer and maker. Everything is handmade here in the shop. I use sterling silver, bronze, or gold. I custom make pieces, but it's mostly like whatever I want to make. So it's really starting from the raw material to finished products.
The Distillery District opened in 2003, and today it's widely regarded as a national arts, culture, and entertainment destination. It's also brimming with creative people.
We're not just promoting them now, we always have. In fact, that's part of our DNA really at the distillery. So for the last 25 years, we've been all about local.
Local shopping, but also local dining and ingredients.
One of our most biggest features, which is our crab poutine, is a Dungeness crab from BC, potatoes from Ontario, and then we have Quebec cheese curds that are on it. So all of our beef is basically Canadian, and our chicken is Canadian, because we just have really good meat here anyway. So, and then we have our wonderful little seafood tower here, which is all East Coast and West Coast Canadian fare. But then why not go back into the Canadian roots of it all and support all the people that work here and produce stuff here and keep the money here? Sure, why not? If they want to put tariffs on us, go ahead. We have all the products here.
If local libations are more up your alley, a visit to Spirit of York should also be on your distillery to-do list.
Our ethos from start to finish has always been make it local, make it high quality, interact with the community, and make sure that you're really driving that conversation to get out there to meet those people who really do represent that community. We wouldn't be able to do any of this without our MVPs being the farms and the fields that we work with. Our farmer, he produces world-class rye grain from Scotland, Ontario.
And while some U.S. liquors may be vanishing from shelves, homegrown Canadian alternatives are ready to raise a glass in their place.
For example, our nice Canadian whiskey, blended rye whiskey, has a little bit more of a sweeter profile to it that really does mimic something that they might be missing right now in the LCBO's programs.
As the weather gets warmer, business owners in the distillery still want to welcome visitors from all over. But they also hope that during this time, more people in Toronto realize the gems that exist right in their own backyard.
It's time that we really think about where things are made, who makes them, help out, the small businesses that make this city, that makes Canada, what it is.
Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
We want to bring you back to one of our top stories today. A freezing rain warning is in place for a large part of the province. More than 80,000 customers are without power as of this evening, but we know this all can change very quickly. So let's bring back our Anwar Knight with more of what you can expect this weekend. Anwar, many people want to know when the rain's going to go, when we might see some warmer temperatures. What can you tell us?
Well, the warmer air is certainly going to move in, but there's still going to be 24 hours of freezing rain in some areas. And I wanted to highlight this image. This is from our storm hunter, Mark Robinson, in Barrie this afternoon. You know, Hydro One mentioned about the weight being the problem, and it really is. Gravity takes hold. This is, a tree limb in Barrie. Some areas will see 3 times the amount of ice. So what happens is that gets knocked down, pulls down some power lines, and then you have a problem. But a vivid image of that. And as we recap of today's event, 15 hours, give or take, of freezing rain in Trenton. But where it was colder in around the Ottawa area, 16 centimeters in Stittsville. And this is, not snow brush. This is a snow blower or certainly a shovel worthy event. And then as we take a look at the first system up that is here, this is lifting out, but there's the second one. This is a Colorado low. This is bringing moisture from the Gulf. So yes, it will be warmer, but brings varied elements. Firstly, the freezing rain warnings here in purple. Embedded in that are rainfall warnings. So that means Barrie, Owen Sound, the Bruce Peninsula, and then as you go further to the north, you'll see some snow. But this is the accretion that we are forecasting. Light in the Toronto area, closer to the lakes. It's not going to be a power outage event, but certainly in the similar areas of today, it will continue. But look at this, maybe 50 centimeters of snow in the northeast. So we had 19 degrees in Windsor, 15 hours of freezing rain in Trenton. Could see a half a meter of snow in the northeast. So freezing rain across the Toronto area through the evening. Overnight, it lifts up. Warmer air starts to move in, and this is where the story gets very interesting because we're going to see some thunderstorms for tomorrow, possibly severe to the southwest. This will be into the evening period, continuing through. 6 degrees is your high in Toronto tomorrow. It'll be a rain event, and then we get up to 15 degrees, Natalie. That means some decent weather towards the end of next week for the work crews to do the repair work. Back to you.
Thank you, Anwar.
You bet.
And that is our show for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching.